How many people here really wanted some kind of a pet or animal when you were little? Raise your hand. Well, when I was little, there was actually two things I really liked. One thing that I really wanted was a dolphin, because I used to watch Flipper. I was pretty sure I was going to get a dolphin, right? I didn't even live near the ocean. The other thing I really wanted was a horse. And I'm thinking, I live in the country, got a big backyard, it doesn't have a fence, but isn't there a way to somehow have a horse? Maybe, I know you can't really keep a horse tied there, but I figured there must be a way to make this work if my mother really understood how bad I wanted a horse. And so I just, hey, come on, can't we get a horse? Isn't there a way to make this happen? What if we move? Can we get a horse? And one day, well, you see, there's another thing that I was young at this age, and I was learning something in my relationship with my mother, is that she didn't always come out and say, this is what's going to happen, or this is what's going to happen. Things just looked like one thing, they kind of turned into something else. You know, it was like kind of things to happen through the back door. So one year she says, hey, how about when you finish the school year? I was, how old was I? I was 11 years old. She said, how about when you finish the school, you really want a horse, right? I said, yeah. I'm going to get a horse? Well, you can go to a summer camp where they have lots of horses. And you're just going to have a great time, you know? You're going to love it. I'm like, really? So I go, okay, well, let's go to summer camp. And something just didn't feel right. I packed a lot of clothes for going to summer camp. And we got to this place, we drive out in the Sierras somewhere. And we get to this ranch, it's about 100 acres. And I get there and I'm like, it doesn't look like, I've been to summer camp. It doesn't look like summer camp. And sure, I did a little investigation, and I wasn't really at summer camp. It was a boys' home. But they did have horses. So I'm like, well, at least they have horses, right? So she drops me off there. And I'm like, okay, well, can we ride the horses? And I was, you know, at one time we had up to, I think, 40 horses. And there was a horse that I got to choose. Well, you know what? I'm not even going to go down the horse road because I have something even better I want to share with you. Somebody had actually donated a large Greyhound bus. And this Greyhound bus, it's what we would use this to, like, we had sometimes up to like 30 kids, boys. They were just boys. And you load it up with staff members and boys, and we'd go wherever it is that we're going. We'd go, if we went into town or whatever, it's like, well, it's like jump in the bus. Well, one of the neat things that we did one time is we took a trip around the United States. And this trip lasted for 3 months. And we went to all these beautiful historic places, and we just spent a lot of times in those days you could just camp on the side of the road. You could just stop like rest areas, we just throw our sleeping bags out, pull out the, you know, the coal burner, Coleman stove, and make dinner, breakfast, whatever. And one of the stops we made was a ranch, or actually a farm in Kansas. And one of the staff members, her parents owned it. Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that boys can do on a farm. And there was a huge hay barn that was there. I mean, it was huge. It was probably like 2 or 3 stories high. And we loved to divide up into teams and play army. And we'd go over there, we'd capture somebody, we'd take them prisoner. So what do we do with our prisoners? We're like, well, let's make a jail, let's make a pit. So we're digging out bales of hay, and we're making an actual pit to throw our prisoners in. So we started getting down there pretty deep, and we pulled out a bale of hay, and we threw it, and out comes running a raccoon. And so we're like, yeah, let's catch the raccoon. So we go running after the raccoon, but the raccoon is too fast, too slick. And so we're like, oh man, the raccoon got away. But we just didn't know how lucky we were that we didn't catch it, because those suckers are mean. Very, very strong. And we're standing there, and I'm like, hey, what if she was leading us away from her nest? What if she has baby raccoons back there? Yeah, let's go find the baby raccoons. So we get back there, and I see the hole where she ran out of, and I stick my arm back there. And my arm used to be like 6 inches longer. Actually, I pulled out a little baby raccoon with his eyes still closed.
Aww.
And just kind of like meowing, sort of like a little kitty. I'm like, got a raccoon. Maybe there's none. And so I pulled out 3 baby raccoons. Oh, she's green light already. So here's the story. We got these raccoons and we raised them going around the United States on a bus. We had a 7-Up bottle with a rubber nipple, and we put some milk, evaporated milk with the water, and we take it out, and these little guys, they have these little hands, and they just hold the bottle and just suck. And it was just like, they loved it. Then, these little suckers we'd go in to see the Empire State Building, and we'd come out and they'd ransack, like, all our stuff. They were amazing. They were the cutest things, but troublemakers. When we got back from the trip, the director of the camp, who actually lived about a quarter mile up the road, decided to build a cage up there, and he kept the raccoons. The raccoons are crafty. But anyway, there's always a rift between the boys in the boys' home and the staff members. And I remember one day we got called in. It's like, okay, we went in there and trashed the locker room for the staff members. And we're like, I didn't do it. And nobody would fess up to it. They're like, you guys are all in trouble. We're all being punished until we would give up this, admit to doing it. And nobody would admit to doing it. And we're like, hey, somebody better fess up. Nobody would fess up. And one night, we're sleeping in our beds. It's summertime, the doors are open, and something's like comes like pulling our sheets off. Well, what is it? It's the 3 little raccoons that would escape from up there. They would come down, they would ransack the staff members' locker room, because they were on our side, obviously. And that's what we were getting in trouble with. So the moral of my story, it's not always what you think it is. Mr. Toastmaster.